Dear listeners, the coming global superstorm. In a 1999 book by Art Bell and Whitley Strieber, which warns that global warming might produce sudden and catastrophic climatic effects. First, the Gulf Stream and North Atlantic Drift would generate a cordon of warm water around the North Pole, which in turn holds in a frozen mass of Arctic air. Second, if the North Atlantic Drift were to shut down, that barrier would fail, releasing a flood of frozen air into the northern hemisphere, causing a sudden and drastic temperature shift. The book discusses a possible cause of the failure of the Gulf Stream. The melting of the polar ice caps could drastically affect the salinity of the North Atlantic Drift by dumping a large quantity of fresh water into the world's oceans. Bell and Strieber explain the possibility that such current destabilizations have occurred before, as well as seemingly impossible engineering feats by the ancients. Among their examples is the island city of Nanmadol. The book claims that its construction, with exacting tolerances and extremely heavy basalt materials, necessitates a high degree of technical competency. Since no such society exists in the modern record or even, in legend, the society must have been destroyed by dramatic means. While other explanations beside a global meteorological event are possible, a correlating evidence set is presented in the woolly mammoth. Strieber and Bell assert that since mammoths have been found preserved with food still in their mouths and undigested in their stomachs, these animals must have been killed quickly, in otherwise normal conditions. They were preserved so well by quick freezing, which is taken as evidence of a rapid onset of a global blizzard or similar event. Interspersed with the analytical parts of the book are a series of interlinked short fictional scenarios, written in italics, describing what might transpire today if a destabilization of the North Atlantic current were to occur. The fictional accounts of current events as the meteorological situation deteriorates provided background and inspiration for the 2004 science fiction film The Day After Tomorrow. Indeed, some events from the book are portrayed in the film with little modification. After revisiting the move last night, I discovered a news post, a 60-year-old pattern in the stratosphere just reversed by Gizmodo in a paper from the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. In both the paper and news post, they point to shocking data that could bring superstorms. We all have seen major weather changes, and should we worry? I think we should. From the news post. For 6 decades, scientists have watched a steady circulating wind pattern in the tropical stratosphere repeating like clockwork every 2 years. Now for the first time it's changed direction. The pattern is called the quasi-biennial oscillation, and it's a wind circulation that occurs every 28 months, miles above Earth's surface in the stratosphere. West-moving winds from the top of the tropical stratosphere slowly move downwards and are replaced in that top position by the easterly winds that were below them. Then the whole switch repeats itself again and again. At least that's what happened for the last 60 years. But at the end of last year, right when the west-moving winds were supposed to be moving down to start the switching pattern, instead, they rose right back upwards. The new pattern held for a full 6 months before the east winds finally replaced them again at the top this July. Researchers from NASA Goddard revealed the change in a paper in Geophysical Research Letters. The switch hasn't yet had any visible impact on existing weather patterns besides the shift in wind circulation, but the sudden change still has scientists surprised and searching for an explanation. The quasi-biennial oscillation is the stratosphere's old faithful, Paul Newman, lead scientist on the paper from NASA Goddard, said in a statement. If Old Faithful stopped for a day, you'd begin to wonder about what was happening under the ground. Newman suggested 2 potential theories that could explain the switch. One is that it was yet another strange side effect from the gigantic El Niño we just saw. But he also suspects that it could be an effect of our new, hot climate. The researchers are now trying to figure out just what the impact of the switch might be and whether, as the world continues to warm, we're going to see it happen again. After speaking with a former research professor of environmental science who wished to go unnamed for reasons only he knows, he advised me that the weather patterns have changed, there would be more flooding, tornadoes and hurricanes. 2016 would be warm and we would see changes, and we do. 2017 will bring more changes, floods and very cold weather. There will be much more to come on this subject. Prepare for the winter. And stay paranoid, my friends.